Imagine this. You've spent your entire career becoming a top-tier expert in a really specialized, really well-paid field. You're the person everyone calls, the one who knows all the ins and outs. And then, almost overnight, the company that makes the entire system you've mastered just changes all the rules. Well, that's not a hypothetical. It's exactly what's happening right now in the world of SAP consulting. So let's just cut to the chase and ask the really tough question. What do you do when the very expertise that made you so valuable is suddenly being simplified, standardized, and even handed off to junior folks and AI? This isn't some far-off future problem. For thousands of pros, this is happening right now. Okay, let's break this down because this slide really lays out the stakes. In the old world, you were a sought-after configuration expert. Your skill set was in high demand, and you focused on your specific module. But the new reality? It's a whole different ballgame. Your rates are being compressed, meaning you get paid less for the same work, and you're literally competing with less experienced people who are armed with AI tools. The whole focus is shifted from knowing a module to delivering a business outcome. Now, it's really important to get this. This isn't about your personal performance. This is a massive systemic shift. It's like an earthquake shaking the very foundations of the industry. So what's causing it? Why would a giant company like SAP flip the table on everyone? Well, it really boils down to three huge pressures. First, you've got cloud economics. Wall Street loves that sweet, predictable, recurring subscription money way more than one-time license fees. Second, scalability. You just can't push updates to millions of customers if every single system is a custom-built, one-of-a-kind beast. It's impossible. And third, AI. AI needs clean, standard data to work its magic, and those old, heavily customized systems are basically the enemy of clean data. So you see, this is a pure business survival strategy for them, not just a tech refresh. And to solve all those problems, SAP rolled out a brand new foundational rule. It's called Clean Core. The easiest way to think about it is that SAP has drawn a hard line in the sand. Everything inside that line is the core. SAP owns it, SAP controls it, SAP upgrades it. Everything else, all that custom code you used to build inside the system, now has to be built and live outside that boundary. And this quote right here tells you everything you need to know about how serious they are. This isn't some friendly suggestion. It's not a best practice they'd like you to follow. The source material is crystal clear. This is a contractual and economic boundary. Cross that line and you could be in breach of your contract. It's completely non-negotiable. So, the old game board has basically been thrown in the trash. We understand the why behind this earthquake. Now let's take a look at the what. What does this new landscape actually look like? What are the new pieces on the board you need to master? Okay, here's probably the most important new piece on that board, the SAP Business Technology Platform, or BTP. And the source material has this fantastic analogy for it. BTP is the system's pressure release valve. Look, customers are always going to want custom stuff, right? SAP knows they can't just say no, so instead they say, yes, absolutely, but you have to do it over there. BTP is that over there. It's the messy garage where you can do all your custom projects and tinkering so you can keep the core system, the living room, perfectly clean and standard. Now this is where it gets really interesting because you can see how all the new pieces are designed to fit together. This is the new blueprint. S/4HANA is still the engine, processing all the transactions. Clean Core is the fundamental rule that keeps that engine stable and upgradable. BTP is the designated space for all innovation. Then you layer on top of that. You've got SAC, the analytics cloud, which is the decision layer where you get insights. You have Signavio, which tells you the truth about how your processes are actually running. And finally, you have Joule, the AI assistant, which is like an intelligence layer sitting over everything. It's a completely intentional, closed ecosystem designed for total control and predictability. Okay, so we've laid out the problem, we've looked at the new reality, and I know that can feel a bit overwhelming. But here's the good news. A massive shift like this also creates incredible new opportunities. So let's stop thinking of them as escape routes and start thinking of them as strategic paths to a much more valuable future. Let's dig into the 5 real, actionable career paths for anyone caught in this storm.
And there are 5. According to the source, there are exactly 5 legitimate paths forward. Pretty much everything else is a dead end.
All right, let's walk through them. Path 1, become a revenue architect. You go deeper into the business process itself, owning the entire revenue flow from start to finish, not just one little piece of it. Path 2, become a BTP and Clean Core architect. You master that new boundary, becoming the key technical decision maker who decides what goes where. Path 3. Move up the stack to the analytics and decision layer. You stop focusing on what happened and start answering the much more valuable question of why it happened. Path 4. AI and process intelligence. You become the person who knows the right questions to ask the AI, using these new powerful tools. And finally, Path 5. You can leave the whole time for money consulting game and move into sales or product roles, where your expertise gives you totally different kinds of leverage, like commission and equity.
So choosing a path, that's one thing. But actually executing that pivot, that's where the real work starts. And it really all boils down to one absolutely critical question you have to ask yourself.
But before we get to that question, you have to understand the timeline. This is not an overnight fix. This is a deliberate 10-year plan. The first couple of years are your consolidation phase. You pick one path and you go deep. Years 3 to 5 are about positioning. You move from just doing the work to making decisions about the work. You become the go-to person. And then in the final years, you leverage that position to achieve real independence, whether that's through your own consulting practice, a leadership role, or even product equity.
So, this brings us to it. The one question that really decides your future. I want you to really let this sink in. Ask yourself this. If SAP deleted the specific tool I'm an expert in tomorrow, what fundamental business problem do I still solve for my clients? If you can't answer that question with crystal clarity, then you don't have a strategy. You're just waiting for the next change to happen to you. And that really brings us to our final and I think most powerful idea. An exit isn't a single panicked jump to a new job. It is a controlled migration of your value. It's about strategically and patiently moving what you know from a world that is shrinking to a world that is growing. It's about taking that deep expertise you've built over a career and learning how to apply it on a brand new game board with a brand new set of rules. And frankly, that's a strategy that works far beyond just this one industry.